Hello, everyone. In this episode, we will be talking about what it means to be working in a bubble, why is it a problem, and how to fix it. I am Olga.
And I'm Sunny.
And here we go. Let's see. This is episode 2. Working in a bubble, it's exactly what it sounds like. That you are isolated in your own head, in your own little space, without any influence from the outside, like a lot of artists do.
Focused on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, I was just thinking about that. I think that many people can be working in a bubble and not realize it.
This should not be confused when you get in the zone, because there is a time when you've done all the research and you've done everything and you're ready to work and you just want to focus and you get yourself inside a bubble so that you can work and like push and get this illustration done, get this book done. That's fine. But that's different than this. This is when you're starting out, and when you're in the working so much all by yourself that you don't know what's going on out there. You are not paying attention to what others in the field are doing. You don't know what the market, what the industry is doing, what books are being published. When you're looking at other people and what they do, you can see, you can start to see patterns. So you can see what other artists are doing that is working and what other artists are doing that is not working, and you can mimic the good behavior, learn from those, and avoid the pitfalls.
Yeah, but I do think that, okay, for instance, for me, when I started focusing on illustrating, I was not focused on the industry and what was going on in the industry. I still knew what books my children liked, and those were my favorite children's books, and also the children's books that I had as favorites, but I wasn't current. And I think that very often people can become complacent and kind of go back into that bubble also, because they're like, oh, I've learned everything I need to learn. I'm at a place where I'm comfortable. I don't need, but I think you always need to be searching for what's going on currently, what are the trends, what is your industry doing, and you always need to be aware of that, and you always need to be reaching out.
Yeah, it's if you are always drawing from what you know, and that I mean drawing in the physical act of drawing and actually pulling ideas from on the stuff that we read to our kids. Those books were amazing, and they were amazing, and some of them are classics, and they're amazing at this time too. But some of those books would not get published nowadays.
True.
So
Yeah.
we always have to see what's in the market now. If you actually want to get published, especially traditionally, we're talking about traditional publications here, because you can self-publish whatever you want. But
well, and you can self-publish whatever you want. Oh, and I guess we never discussed that. Olga works mainly in traditional publishing, but I work a lot in self-publishing industry. Although I would like to do both. But in self-publishing, I think if you want to be successful, you have to pay attention as well.
Yes.
You can just publish whatever you want. That's your choice.
But you won't
But if you want to be successful, you need to pay attention to what else is out there and what is going on.
Yeah. It's kind of like clothing. And like, yes, fine.
Or fashion.
Beautiful clothing from the 1800s. It's gorgeous, fine. But you're not going to see that on the street now. It's not practical.
Unless you're at a Renaissance fair.
Yeah. So it looks really cool for the Renaissance fair. But it's not practical. It's not practical for today's, lifestyle, or, things like that. Like if you visualize it that way. So it's the same thing when you're telling a story, when you're writing, or when you're illustrating. It's got to be for today's market and for today's kids. So I at the beginning I was doing that a lot. I was just like, oh yes, I remember this book, and that's all I was stuck. I had no idea about the stuff that is out there. How to it because of so much technology, kids nowadays have a very short attention span. Even adults, like, you got 30 seconds to grab someone's attention. So the same thing has to happen in a story. oftentimes I try to watch a movie with my kids from the 80s, and I'll be like, let me introduce you to these amazing
Yeah.
movies that I loved when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is so boring. Nothing's happening. And I'm like,
There's no
no.
action.
Yeah. I'm like, no. Listen, look at the story. You have to find
Yeah.
the little nuances in the thing. And they're like, there are no explosions. They are no one has died. What's going
Yeah.
on? So it's
Very
a
different.
different type of entertainment for them. And then, sometimes I look at a movie and I'm like, this is moving too fast. It's But that's what they like now. And you have, I mean, if you want to work in this industry, you have to play the game. You have to play the rules of the game, right? You can't just
Yeah.
go into a soccer field and decide, no, I'm going to play tennis. It's like, no, well, no, you're not. It's not going to work. um the humor also is a little bit different now.
Oh, very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually like it.
I like it
I
too. Yeah.
like
I
the
feel
dark
like,
humor.
yeah, I kind of feel like we're more honest now.
Yeah,
There were things that you didn't say before. And now, well,
right.
I mean, there's things we don't say now, but I think that uh, we focus more on honesty, and the humor is really honest and in your face. And
Yeah, it's almost like
yeah,
you can say a little bit more of what's in your head and what
yeah,
you're thinking.
yeah.
A good example is I want my hat back, where where at the end the bear
It's
eats
kind of
the
dark. Yeah, that's a dark
well, it's implied
story.
that he ate the bunny at the end when he got his hat
Yeah,
back, but
yeah,
it's really cool. It was not that one even doesn't even have like a lesson. The bunny is lying. I didn't get my hat. Yeah, I don't have a hat. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never seen a hat. Well, he's wearing it,
yeah,
and then at the end is like, I haven't seen a bunny.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a little bit more like we can we can write about the stuff that sometimes we think about, that dark humor and the dark. Yeah, and not all books
yeah.
are like that, and I mean in subject matters too now that would have never been discussed before, so
Right. And I
that's good
think
too.
that's because we are exposed to more now through the internet, and our children are as well,
Yes,
that they're they're covering topics at a much younger age
right.
than we ever did. I feel like because we didn't have access to the internet, and
Gosh, yes. Yeah.
we we s- we were later bloomers.
Hmm.
and and books have to reflect that. You Now children's books don't speak down to children.
Right.
They pretty much, you just pretty much assume that they know these things, and they know the subjects that you're, and I mean, you are also writing for the parents as well,
Yes, yeah, you
but
always
or
have to.
drawing. Sorry, we're not just talking about writing, but the type of books, yeah, are also for the parents. But I don't think that I think children know a lot more at a younger age now than they used to.
Yeah, it is very true. We were stuck to just the information we could find at the library, and now it's very accessible to them and everywhere.
Hmm.
So yeah, so you are writing and you're illustrating for the kids of today and the parents of today.
Yeah,
Yeah. So how do you fix it? We already know why we shouldn't just work in a bubble, but how do you fix that? So, um, well, no, the things that you introduced me to when we met was the internet, the internet, not the whole internet, but
what is it? Yeah, what is this?
Instagram. What is this world of social media? um, for artists it's the world. It is not like we used to do it before, that you print a portfolio and drop it off at an art director's table, or no, now everything is online now. So consume media that way. You have to go on Instagram and Facebook and podcasts, listen to YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, and see what other illustrators are doing.
Yeah,
um this is I'm not Don't copy their style, but just be aware of what's out there, and then you can easily say, I absolutely hate this style. And then you know what you gravitate to. But
it can be examples of what not to do. Like, you
yeah,
can You can see directions people are going in and say, well, that's not the direction I want, and adjust your course.
Yeah,
But
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
But I think that by exposing yourself to other artists, that helps you define your style and figure out what you like and you don't like.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're not looking, then you'll never figure it out.
There is something else to it. When you draw ideas are infinite, but you have to fill your head with some ideas. You have to fill with some images. Um, it is cool that you know what a broom looks like and you know what a turtle looks like. But then when someone else does a turtle, draws a turtle or a broom or something, and they do it differently, then you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Um, I remember I wrote a story based on one word that I heard, and it was Neil Gaiman. He was doing an interview, and he said something about ideas, and the word ideas prompted an entire story. And so, like, when things go into your head, they mix with your stuff, and then something else comes out. So when you're looking at illustrations, when you're looking at and reading picture books, and when you're looking at what's out there, it prompts new ideas in your head. It creates more.
I think we forgot to mention a couple things. I mean, later we'll probably cover social media, but some of the things that we use on a daily basis are Instagram, Facebook groups, podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, Behance, and LinkedIn. Olga doesn't use LinkedIn that much, but I'm on there quite a bit.
Yeah, once in a while I put something in there. Well, I mean, when we discuss social media in another episode, is how to handle it. And
that's a whole
just
thing,
by listing all of these, we're not saying you have to do all of these, because it's impossible, and you need life outside of social media too. But you can pick one, or you can pick two, whatever you can handle without going crazy. Yeah, we'll cover those in another episode. Go to the library. Go to the library and check out. I'm looking here on my stack on my right. I have over 20 picture books. And when I'm done with these, reading these and going through them, I take them back and I have another 20, a set of 20 here. You
should have a librarian friend.
Yes, absolutely.
You really should. Or multiple. It's important. They are wonderful tools and resources.
Yes, I actually connected with some of the librarians, and when I need a comp file, like a comp title, I'm like, do you know of any book that is like this and talks about this? Because when you're writing to agents or submitting your book, you want to have comp titles, which we'll discuss in a future episode. There's a lot of folks, a lot of stuff that you have to know when you're getting in this industry. So yeah, librarians are great. Also, yeah, you can go to the library, not now because everything is closed, but when they will open up again, go to the library and say, can you show me where are the books that have been published in the last 5 years? Where do you have this? Which is your most popular book? Which one gets checked out most often? And talk to them, talk to people, so you can get the information.
Librarians and bookstores, booksellers know the trends. They know what's popular. They know what types of books get checked out the most or bought the most. They know. I mean, you can also Google this. But it's better to hear it from a person with firsthand knowledge, because they can give you so much insight as to why is this popular? Why are graphic novels so popular? I mean, I have 2 teenage girls, so I love graphic novels. But a lot of people who are illustrators may not understand why these things are, why are we going in this direction?
What is the difference between a picture book and an early reader and a chapter book and a middle grade and a YA? Why do they all fall?
That influences your illustration style, knowing what type of books you want to illustrate for. So, I mean, these things are important with writing, but it's also very important as an illustrator. If your illustration style works for, somebody may tell you your illustration style will work for middle grade or graphic novels, but it won't work for picture books. If you don't know what you don't know, you won't understand what direction you need to go in if you want to work in picture books.
Right. We were there. I was there. I didn't know that there was a difference. I was just children's books. I didn't know there were different tiers to it.
It's such a that is a really broad topic. I didn't either. I had no clue. I didn't know.
Another thing to be outside of your bubble. If you don't have a creative support group outside of your little bubble. So for example, if you're only going up to your family and you're going, hey, what do you think of this illustration? Your family members are not going to be the best ones to give you actual feedback. They're just going to say, oh, that's nice, because it might be nice. It just might be cute or something. You need to have a support system outside of that bubble so that you get the real stuff. Hey, yes, it's cute, but the composition is wrong, or the character is just looking at the camera, or if you are trying to go for children's books, there's a specific way of drawing that has to be narrative, and it's not just I can draw a cute bunny looking at you. That's not going to get you there. You put that in your portfolio and it's going to be like out.
Yeah. And your family loves you, so they're going to they're going to say nice things about you, but they also typically don't have experience with children's books and what they need to look like.
So that's why you go and you look for a creative community for feedback. So that's another reason why you would go to these Facebook groups or join critique groups. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit later in this episode. And another way would be to take classes, go to school, whatever. If you can afford, college is very, very expensive. If you're starting late in life, I would suggest not go back to college, because then you're going to have a huge debt.
Yeah.
And it's not that necessary now. There's a lot of stuff you can find on Skillshare, YouTube. There's online classes that are a lot more affordable than SBS Learn, Picture Book Academy.
Yeah.
I guess, will we have show notes, and I guess put these at the show notes? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we can. We can put links to these in the show notes.
And those are just some of them. I mean, you can just Google it, right? and you'll find more schools or more. There's YouTube videos that show you how to do anything. You won't have the anatomy classes. You won't have all of that, which is necessary to be able to draw people.
But there are classes online for that.
Yeah. You won't have the face-to-face and an instructor, looking over your shoulder kind of and telling you, well, the perspective is wrong. But that's where you have your community. You can be like, I worked on this. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? And then someone will be like, your perspective is off.
And then you just show it to Olga and she does a draw over and tells you, wait, the hand needs to be here.
I'll be great at telling you everything that's wrong with it. There's a tangent.
Yeah.
You find people like that. You find people that are willing and able. I mean, it's actually funny. When you think of people in the industry, you think that we are all going to be like, oh no, I cannot talk to this person or so. I have approached people that are quite successful, and they're nice. They're people, they're normal people. They might be busy. Absolutely, they will be busy. And some of them are not going to give you their time for free, but well, how can I say? Ask, ask, and look for mentors. Look for people that actually offer these services as well. And but the first place to start, I would say, is in a group. Find people that are not at your skill level. You don't want to,
like, above you're saying look for people that are a little above your skill level.
Yeah, you don't want to.
That's true.
When you and I combined forces, I would say you have knowledge that I didn't have. I had knowledge that you didn't have.
Yeah.
Because if we are both going to be on the same level, we're not going to level up. You're not going to grow from there. So you want to, when you join a group, make sure that you have people from different skill sets, different skill levels, and different inputs.
They have different strengths than you do. Yeah, if you all have the same if you all have the same strengths and you're all at the same level, then you'll probably be stagnant.
Right, right.
But one thing I wanted to mention
Yeah.
about taking classes online or joining communities, you make connections. So one of the benefits of college is that you network and you get friends who are in the same career field, who are going into the same career field as you. Well, the same thing happens online. When you join classes that are that have like forums or message boards associated with those classes, like SVS Learn and Picture Book Academy, and even on YouTube, a lot of people post comments on YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That's how you make connections with people. That's how you form friendships with people who are like-minded and looking for the same things as you.
It's even as simple as going to their social media accounts of someone that you admire. And well, if you get someone who is like super famous and extremely busy, they're probably
They
not even
probably
gonna
won't have
know.
time. Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that are just starting out that
Yeah.
are ready and willing and able to make connections, and you just look at their work and you say, and comment and say, this is so very nice.
Yeah.
How did you do this? And a lot of them will be like, oh, I used gouache, or I used Procreate, and I use these brushes. Just ask questions, and then slowly you start to
You form
make a connection.
connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with like joining organizations.
Oh, that is a big one. I hate to say to people, you have to do this or you have to do that. This is what has worked for us.
True.
There are people out there that have never joined any organizations, and they're perfectly able to make a career out of it. For me personally, and I think for you, I don't want to speak for you, but joining the SCBWI was incredibly important. It helped me a ton. I also joined 12 by 12 one year, which I learned a lot about writing, because that was when I wanted to also start writing my own picture books.
Oh, that's true. That is for writing, not illustrating.
Yeah, that is
I
for
didn't
writing.
think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's what we put it there in our notes. That's why we're talking about it. This a lot of things. See, there's so much that we need to talk about, but it's hard to put it in an episode. And so once you start illustrating for children's books, a lot of illustrators jump into also writing those picture books, because there's a niche, there's an actual avenue in the industry for author illustrators. So, but we are mainly talking to illustrators now. So
yes, but there are many illustrators who illustrate children's books who would also like to write their own. I mean, that is pretty common. And I think part of it, I know for me, part of it is because I like to read children's books.
Yes.
And when you're a reader, very often that leads to wanting to be a writer. You're already a creative person, so it's very easy to switch between the two.
It also ends up happening that we think visually first. When I'm going to write a book, I first have the image. I first have the character doing the main action. And then I'm like, well, okay, but how did he get there? What did he do? So then I go back and then I write over that. So when you're illustrating, that's what happens. Like you are thinking of this character and this very real story that is happening to them. So that's why it's not such a stretch to jump from illustrating to writing. But writing is a skill, oh my goodness, that requires a lot of learning as well, a lot of editing and a lot of patience. So that is something that I would say you don't want to jump to do until you have grasped the illustration part of it.
Oh, sorry. And being a children's book illustrator, you're a storyteller. You're already a storyteller. You're just telling the story with pictures, and it's someone else's story. But when you add your illustrations, it becomes your story, and you have to have the ability to understand page turns, to understand the story arc. So that's why I also think it's pretty common for illustrators to transition to being writers as well.
Yeah. In another episode, we will discuss what are page turns, what makes a picture book with step by step everything. But yeah, we are touching on all of these things because as we're touching on them, we were like, well, that requires an entire episode to be able to expand on all that. But that's good. See, this is what we didn't know. How many times did I hear page turn? I'm like, what is a page turn? And what is a book dummy? And what do you mean by story arc? So yeah, we will discuss all these, because come on, it's a lot easier when someone just tells you, hey, this is what's out there all in one little neat package. Another good thing to do to be able to break out of that bubble is join challenges, online challenges and contests.
Yeah.
You want to talk to us about Inktober and all of those?
Yeah. That was the first thing I think that, no. Okay. I started doing a 365-day challenge.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was called a Doodle a Day. And she's the person that ran it actually had a Facebook group. And I met a lot of other illustrators there. That was not geared towards children's book illustration. Well, no, yes, it was. I'm sorry. It was geared towards children's book illustration, but it was just to get artists to draw once a day. This was 5 years ago. So it wasn't as common then. Now it's more common. They have these challenges everywhere. But it put me into a Facebook group with people that were looking to do similar things as me. And now those people, I still follow many of them on social media. I still kind of keep in touch with some of them. So I think it was a really good start for me. After that, I did not last 365 days.
No, I would say that's
so I think I lasted like a month. After that, I tried Inktober, and Inktober is, I think, a really good way for people to jump into a 30-day challenge. Now there's so many different challenges. It's you can take your pick. Any month there's probably a 30-day challenge or a week challenge. Yeah. But Inktober is a great place to start because it's just black and white illustrations. You don't have to worry about color. You can just do line art if you want, but you get in the practice of drawing every day for 30 days. Yeah, and that's a really good skill to learn. And it's a really good way to, I guess, open your creative floodgates.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, which I wasn't good at doing that on my own. So a lot of times when you need that inspiration or that encouragement, and you're doing it with the community of
that's
people.
It. Yeah, that's the and word.
That's what connects you with everybody.
Yeah, that being part of a community is it's definitely something I was lacking at the beginning when I was just sitting there working on my portfolio. I mean, those 4 months where I have putting my portfolio together between one critique and the other, it was literally just in the bubble, but like being in the zone. But not having a community is what did it. I would say once I got involved in a community, that's when you start seeing, oh, okay, I know where the next step is. I know where the next goal is. I know what I'm supposed to attain next. So these challenges are fantastic. They get you working every day, but more importantly, they make you part of the community.
Yeah. And you have a connection with people. They're like, and it's funny how that someone will say, "Oh, I'm doing Inktober," and you're like, "Oh, I'm doing it too." Yeah. And you just meet people from everywhere. Or, "Oh, I just did mermaid." I'm like, "Oh, I did too. Let's see what you did." And I only got one done.
But or two, which helped us out too in that time that there was nothing to do. We're like, let's do folk tales.
Oh, and yeah.
There was something to work towards.
It gives you a goal. Yeah, it's a good goal. And you're being productive and you're connecting with other people. Yeah, it's like so many good things all together.
Yeah, it's so the idea of this is don't work alone. I know we all like to work alone, but you also need to have this whole feedback and support behind you. Not just to go like, yeah, you can do it, keep going, but to say, yeah, you're going the wrong way. It's probably that way. So the next thing we're going to cover is finding a partner or a mentor. That's my goodness, that's it. That's, I would say, the biggest thing about this is so what is a mentor? Let's say that was a word that I wasn't familiar with because it
I wasn't
almost
either.
sounds, you weren't? Oh,
Not
good. It
really.
wasn't just
Yeah.
me.
No.
Until I started hearing it more in this industry. Finding a mentor, it's like, sounds so, I don't know. It makes me think of a wizard and and a wizarding school and my mentor. I don't know, but it is a huge
It
word in
sounded
this
like
industry.
I've heard it in business. I've heard it in reference to business. No, I've never heard of it in a creative industry terms. Like I didn't. Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing it with apprenticeship, but it makes me think of.
Oh, I think you are.
Yeah,
Apprentice
the word
and sorcerer.
Yes, when
Yeah.
who is the wizard in the Sword of the Storm?
But I don't know if he would. I wouldn't consider him a. I guess an apprentice would. I guess the apprentice is the mentee. I guess that it would be considered a mentor. You know what? I think it is the same.
I'm going to go ahead with that in my head. So it is Merlin teaching you how to do magic. That's exactly what it is.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Yes, because what we do is magic. We make things, little pictures appear in a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's true.
So you want to find mentors. You're like, where would I even find a mentor, or where do you find a partner? And the difference between a mentor and a partner. So Sunny and I are partners in this. We're friends, but we're as well partners
we're critique partners.
This journey towards our goals. Meaning we are working side by side, and we keep bouncing ideas off. Now it's funny that so far you have been in the self-publishing world, and I've been trying to get into the traditional publishing, and they have, even though they're two industries that we're going to discuss later on, we have been working parallel, side to side, kind of following the same steps, and we bounce ideas of each other. And so that's a partner. We're both working together, different sets of skills, different sets, even different goals, but still towards the same mountain. It's like we're headed that way.
Yeah.
So that's a partner. And a mentor is someone who's already been there, who's already done it, and is going to teach you the ropes of, hey, this is what works. This is the road. Here's the map, and can look at your work and tell you where you're going wrong, and can fix it for you.
Yeah.
So finding either or, finding both is great, but definitely someone that can guide you, and hopefully someone that can walk it with you.
Right. I see a mentor as like a guru on a mountain.
That's why I keep thinking Merlin.
Yeah. That you have to hike up to them, and then you.
Yes, and they sit there and
they give
my
you
child.
they give you the map, and you're like, oh, now I'm going off on my quest. And then your partner is the person who hikes up the mountain with you.
Let's date ourselves a little bit here. Here is your wooden sword from Zelda. Here's your wooden sword. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I've had two mentors, and they are not all men with long beards and they sit in a mountain. They are actually, but and we will discuss about in other episodes. I think we're doing one episode called 30 Seconds of Bravery, which, like, oh my goodness, talks about how I met one of my mentors. But yeah, the other mentor I hired, and it's great advice. I mean, it's a one-on-one.
Yeah, I had never heard of that until then. I didn't know that you could hire a somebody that would help you and guide you and spend time with you.
It wasn't something that I knew even existed before.
Yeah. But no, I think it's a great idea.
We're throwing it all out there so that people can find their way out of a bubble. I'm looking at our notes. That's why I stopped for a minute, because I'm here.
And I think too, I guess you could qualify paid critiques as mentorships, kind of?
No,
they're giving you feedback. But I also
feedback,
think that's a good way to get out of your bubble, is by having other people critique your work and give you feedback.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really important step in self-growth and on your journey.
Yeah, it's an assessment. So I had 2 paid critiques in the last episode. We discussed that jump between the first critique and the second paid critique, and these were our directors that I paid through the SCBWI, and I forget how much they charge, maybe like $60 if you do it in the conference. Outside it would be a little more or something. I don't know. We'll throw a number in there. I have no idea what it was, but it's an assessment. It tells you this is what's wrong, this is where you're at. They don't really show you how to get to the other side. And that's what I think a mentor comes in, where he's like, okay, he or she says, okay,
that's true.
This is how you fix that. The art director or whoever is doing your portfolio critique will just tell you, yeah, this works, this doesn't work, this is off, this is, this you should take out of here. So it is pretty much critiquing your work where you're at. So it's an assessment, I would say. And it gives you an idea. Okay, yeah, you fix whatever problems you needed to address. So then finding a partnership, that's what we did. We are 2 people with different sets of skills, and that's how we helped each other. So finding a partner. Sunny had I think we discussed it in the last episode, that you have all this huge experience on social media and how to
I don't know about huge.
It was huge.
I've just done it for a long time.
Well, let's just say I didn't have any.
And you were not on social media. So it was like just a world that I introduced you to. You ran with it.
You were my technology guru. and I would be like, how's this? You are my instruction manual to all this in bite sizes. You were super sweet. You were like, yeah, you would. Where I would Google something or figure it out like on my own, and I had to read so much and figure it out.
I remember I have had to send you I have had to do screenshots for you.
Yes, because
screenshot, circle this.
Absolutely, I needed that because if you go like, oh, it's easy. Yeah, for you.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Just go and set this up. You just set up a social media account and you go here and then you populated this one. I'm like, she's talking Greek and I don't know how do I start this? And then you helped me out and you took screenshots. Like you say, you circled and it's like you push the little 3 dots on the right there, press that down and you will see the thing. And I'm like, oh, I understand. and you pick it up after that. And the same thing, if when I helped you with your portfolio, it was kind of like
you were my tangent guru.
Oh my gosh, I have yeah.
Well, and color theory and everything.
It's little things that we miss when we are drawing and we don't see it, and you can have a tangent line and we'll discuss.
Yeah, and you can fall into a rut. Like when you're not, like I say this all the time, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're constantly making those same mistakes over and over again, you think you're okay until when someone draws attention to it, then you're like, oh, you're right. It does look better this way.
You know what it is?
Why didn't I see it?
We start using shorthand when we're
drawing.
Yeah,
becomes a muscle memory or a creative memory.
And shorthand is very good when you have to draw an entire picture book. We're talking a lot of illustrations. It's a 32-page book, or sometimes a 40-page book. It's a lot of work. And yes, you want to be able to draw fast. And if you have another thing coming after that, so you use shorthand for that. You know how to draw a face quickly. You know how to draw, a cat or whatever it may be, and you already know what it looks like. But if you just fall into that, then all your stuff looks the same. It's not creative. It's not different. Or
if your shorthand is a little off, you may be drawing the same thing the wrong way over and over and over and over.
So I think I don't know if you're referring to the same thing. When I kept telling you, draw through.
Yeah.
And you would, so for example, if you're drawing let's imagine because we're visual people. Whoever's listening to this podcast is, I'm sure, is a visual person. You're doing around blueberry with a belt around the waist. So sometimes you go and
now I have to draw that.
You draw it through. Now you have to draw it, right? So there's this blueberry wearing a belt, and you draw the top section of it, and then you draw the belt, and then you draw the bottom section. Well, you don't do that, because if you do that, your two halves are not going to match. So I kept saying, draw through, draw the blueberry first,
then the belt,
then the belt, then you erase where it's on the belt, and those little things someone else is able to catch because you just keep doing the same thing. So that's why it's always good to have partners that have different skills than you. What I am looking at our notes, and it says review correspondence, and I have no idea what that means. Oh, I understand what this is.
What were we talking about?
So funny. We are not going to edit this. This is funny because this is real. And I, before we go on to the next thing, I just wanted everybody to know we are two so very normal people, so normal and weird at the same time. And we are in our homes, and you might hear someone passing by the kitchen or getting water.
Yeah, I'm in my kitchen. You're going to hear people walking through.
And so be it, because that's the whole idea of this hot podcast is, how do you make this into a career when you're still, life, when life is still happening.
Not the podcast a career, but the
the
illustration a career.
Illustration, right?
Yeah, it's true. You just have to, you just work around your life.
You literally
fit it in,
and you make it happen. So now I remember what review correspondence means in our notes. So that's another thing that we used to, why you have a partner is sometimes you have a client that you were dealing with, and or I have something, and we write this very emotionally charged email. And then you're like, you stop and you go, wait, I am going to wait until the morning and let Sunny read this through this before I click send. Or the same thing with you. And then we can be like, the next morning we're like, yeah, you might not want to say it like that, or you might,
So I'll let you know, every time I have not done that, I regretted it. Every time I haven't waited, or, every time I've written something in the heat of passion and I'm emotional and I don't have you review it, or I don't sit on it and wait on it, and I just send, I always regret it.
It's we do that. And then sometimes I write something and I'm afraid that I might be wording it wrong or something. And I go like, does this sound like I'm being very pushy, or does it sound like because I'm not sure. And you're like, no, it sounds okay. Oh, maybe you want to say it differently. It's partners. It's good. Find a partner. Don't do it alone if you don't have to. You're not. And you know what? You might find some connections at first that might not work for you. We've had other people and then you might find someone who does. And I'm not saying you have to end up with a best friend out of this, but just don't work in your bubble. Don't work inside your head all the time, because you are missing out on an entire world of influence, good and bad influence, that can make your work better and they can push you forward in this.
But I think if you follow even just a few of these steps, you'll find friends. You're going to find people you connect with, because all the other people are also working alone. We sound so sad.
It's so sad and lonely.
It's a very lonely job.
It is. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It is. Most artists are working on their little desktop or laptop or iPad or wherever it is they work. They're not working for a studio. We're not talking about the people. This is freelance illustration, children's book illustration. You are not working for a studio where you're sitting with 20-something artists. No, you are, most of the time you're in your home or in your own little section that you have carved for yourself, and it is alone. So unless you actually make it a point to go out there and look for people and look for what's in the industry, you will not be able to work for today's market. That's it. I think we covered it all.
I think we got everything. even the things we weren't sure what they meant.
Hey, we are figuring it out as we go. So thank you for listening to us today. I hope you got some good information out of this. And we will be covering a lot of this in different episodes where we'll expand and actually explain what everything it means step by step. And yeah, level up with us.
Yeah. I hope you can join us again. Oh, and those who are still listening, Olga has a fidget in her hand.
Oh, I do? I don't know. Well,
no,
we are also recording video. Oh, you can hear it? Okay, hold on. Here, this little clicky thing in your ear. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I could hear it throughout, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to edit that out, but it's fine.
I'm so sorry. Yes.
What makes you you? So you go ahead and fidget.
Yeah, I have to fidget. I cannot sit and do nothing for. No, it's not nothing, but just talk. My legs are shaking. I'm fidgety with my thing. I'm picking up a pencil. Yeah. It is what it is. That's me.
That's fine. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I think we should also tell them that we are going to be we're doing a video. So if you want to see what we look like and how,
and maybe you don't.
Well, maybe you don't. Yeah, maybe go with this fantasy of how amazing we are. Yeah. So we're supermodels and
Olga's beautiful exotic voice.
Super. Yes, I know. If you want to see how freakingly normal we are, we have a video that is accompanying this podcast. I think it's going to be in YouTube. You got to talk to my tech guru over there on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, we'll see.
She will figure out how it goes. But yeah, all right. Hope you tune in for the next episode. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.